If you want your entire family to stick together, you must eat sticky rice. If you don't, you're gonna have a divorce. But just remember, because divorce is expensive and kakanin is cheap. Magandang umaga mga kabayan, ako po si Urbano, and today I'm talking to you about Filipino food superstitions. So what is a superstition? It is a type of belief that has no scientific or rational explanation, but yet people still believe it and it still influences their behavior. I don't think Filipinos go around telling foreigners about this. I had to really do my research to find out kung ano mga superstition dito. But then you just sometimes catch a Filipino doing one of these and you're like, what is that? And of course I have criteria for how I rank them, which is my weirdness scale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird I find that Filipino food superstition bilang isang dayuhan dito sa Pilipinas. Okay, let's get into it. So number 5 on my list today is pregnant women or buntis na babae, babaeng buntis. I'm not sure what the correct order of that is. Now this one is quite interesting. It's basically the idea that you are what you eat, or more rather, you are what your mother eats kapag buntis siya with you. So for example, Filipinos believe that if your mom just eats a lot of puto, which is the Filipino rice flour little sweet cake, you're gonna be maputi, like me. You're gonna be like Filipino version of maputi. Now if you eat dinuguan, which is a Filipino, it's like a dark Filipino blood stew, like pork and pork blood and stuff, and it's quite dark. If you eat a lot of that, then you're going to have a very dark complexion. So you'd be like maitim cooking or something like this. Now, if you dip your puto in dinuguan, then I think you end up somewhere in between. And apparently this also extends to other foods. So if you eat, like for example, kambal na saging, then you're going to end up having twins. If you're a mother, it's like a twin banana. That means you're gonna have twin babies. So possibly that's what, like, you know, Beyonce was eating. I don't know. Somebody find that out from Beyonce, please. And the other thing, like if you eat crabs, you're gonna have like crab claws. I don't know if that one's true, but apparently that's also something that can happen to you. But then if you eat fish, does that mean you're gonna have a mermaid baby? Like, I don't know where it stops. So it seems like some foods contribute to your birth characteristics and others do not. If you guys want to leave a comment what you think my mother was eating, please leave a comment below. My hypothesis is it was probably a lot of cheese. So my weirdness score for this one, honestly, the crab thing, that is like pretty weird, and I reckon this is like an 8 on the weirdness score. I have not heard of many cultures believing something like this. So yeah, let's go on to the next one. So number 4 on my list of Filipino food superstitions that you must know about is, of course, Filipino dining itself. So when you're seated at the table and how you set your plate and what happens during the course of the meal, there's superstitions around that. So the first one is, of course, if you want to remain accident-free in life, when you stand up from the table, if you're the first one to leave the table and you're gonna leave the group dining there, you must turn your plate 3 times in a counterclockwise direction, and if you do that, you will be accident-free in life. I don't know what time period that is, if it's the next day or it's until you're 80 or what, but you'll be accident-free. So remember to turn your plate 3 times in a counterclockwise direction. And the next thing you need to know about dining is, of course, if you drop a utensil while you're dining, like accidentally like this, you're gonna have a visitor. Just like that. And it even depends what type of utensil you drop. So I just had a female visitor because I dropped a spoon. If I drop a fork, it's a guy. So next when you're dining is if you choke while eating, that's not because you put too much food in your mouth, that's because somebody is thinking about you really intensely at that particular point in time. It's totally believable, right? It wasn't because you ate too much. It wasn't because you forgot to breathe while eating. It wasn't because you put a chicken bone down your windpipe or something. Somebody was thinking of you. Choking doesn't just happen, people. It doesn't just happen. So yung last one is that if you are eating at the table and then everybody gets up and starts to clear the table and you are still eating, that means you're going to be lonely for the rest of your life. Hashtag forever alone. Now, my rating for this Filipino dining one, look, there's just so much going on here. I find it kind of weird. Like, I really do think it's odd that, literally the type of thing you drop off the table indicates the gender of the person who's going to knock on your door. So this one, probably, I'll give like a 9 out of 10 for weirdness. Now, 3rd on my list of Filipino superstitions, and keeping in the theme of being forever alone, hashtag, is if you sing while cooking, you're gonna be alone for the rest of your life. literally for the rest of your life. Don't sing while cooking if you want any hope of being like married, having a family, having children, having great-grandchildren one day. You sing while cooking, you're totally screwed. So that's actually a really interesting one because there was a popular musical that came out with a lot of Filipino actors in it called Kitchen Musical. And in that, they literally sing all the time. And I think from memory, they're mostly singing about their like disappointing love life. So maybe this one is actually true. Now, also when you're cooking, like in terms of cooking and being alone, the other thing you should never do if you want to have a successful love life is frequently taste the food. So if you're always tasting the food while cooking, that says to you that you'll only ever have a taste of love. Aasa ka lang forever, because you're just always just getting a taste of it as opposed to actually getting the complete meal, right? So I don't know what the complete meal as a metaphor might mean, but apparently you only get a taste of it if you constantly taste in the kitchen. And on the like 1 to 10 score, I'm probably gonna give it a 5. I mean, this seems plausible that people who sing while cooking are probably a little bit lonely, right? If they weren't lonely, they wouldn't be singing while cooking. They'd probably have somebody helping them cook. So number 2 on my list of Filipino food superstitions you must know about is Filipino food at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve. So first is the eating of kakanin. So kakanin is Filipino sticky rice desserts. And this is really about you eat that at the stroke of midnight because the rice sticks together. And if you want your family, your entire family to stick together, you must eat sticky rice. If you don't, you're gonna have a divorce, your kids are gonna leave home. That's literally what's gonna happen if you didn't eat kakanin. Now, if you're gonna choose a kakanin, I recommend Biko. That's my favorite Filipino kakanin. Tastes delicious, so it's not like this is a hard thing to eat at 12 o'clock midnight on New Year's Eve. But just remember, because divorce is expensive and kakanin is cheap. Okay, so the next New Year's Eve tradition that you have to observe is, of course, do not eat chicken. Whatever you do, don't eat a chicken. Chickens and eating of chicken is going to lead to a sort of a hand-to-mouth existence for the future years. So the term there for Filipinos is isang kahig, isang tuka, or ibig sabihin na you peck one time, you get one seed, you know. And the idea is you're just making enough to get by from paycheck to paycheck. That's what's gonna happen to you na parang na hindi ka makakaipon ng pera, tama lang yung mga income mo, but you're never going to get ahead. So if you want to be rich, prosperous kind of guy, that's the thing to avoid on New Year's Eve. It's that simple. Now, the last thing you have to do on New Year's Eve in the Philippines, if you want to be a rich and prosperous person that coming year, is you gotta get 12 round fruits. And you need to arrange them in a fruit basket on your table. And those kind of symbolize your upcoming prosperity for each of the months of the New Year's. And some enterprising Filipinos have then added a 13th piece of fruit for the 13th month bonus that they get at the end of the year to ensure that they're going to get that 13th month bonus, which I think is super smart, right? Because it's like, all right, there's 12 there, but you're like, well, what if I just add one more piece of fruit? Do I get one more month of pay? And my only question is, when is a Filipino going to think to add a 14th piece of fruit, right? If it's that simple, like just add a 15th piece of fruit. Maybe you get a whole quarterly bonus, right? You get an extra 3 months if you do that. So think about it, Filipinos, why stop at 13? Just keep adding round pieces of fruit on your table at New Year's Eve and you're gonna be like super wealthy. So that one, look, I think the New Year's Eve traditions, that's a pretty fun one. I can sort of see how a lot of those come about, and maybe this one is less weird for me because I think like New Year's resolutions and other cultures really have some weird New Year's Eve superstitions. So this is probably just like a 2 on the weirdness one. And number 1 on today's list is the sort of offering of food to ancestors in the Philippines. So Filipinos believe that spirits, ancestor spirits, or local animistic spirits, that they still eat because in the Philippines everybody eats. Kain ka pa, kain ka pa. So even spirits eat in the Philippines, and in most Philippine provinces you need to offer food to the spirits to sort of keep them on side, because if you don't, they're going to be galit sa'yo that you didn't share your food. So you have to make a food offering to them, and that keeps them nice, or it keeps them away from you, or it keeps them from meddling in your own existence. So giving food offerings is really important. Now, if somebody dies, of course, Filipinos are still like, kain ka pa. You take a baon with you. So in the casket, like your funeral casket, you're lying there and literally someone in your family is gonna like stick in some food. And I don't know if anyone out there has thought about what food they would want in their casket. Leave a comment below. I'm sure there's a few people who'd be like, yeah, bury me with some chicken joy. But This is really a thing, right? This is an interesting one where you get a baon when you go to the grave. And I guess some other cultures do this with pour a shot of whiskey on your grave or something like this. But here you like literally get takeout and you put it in the casket. And the last one in the very happy subject of dying and eating in the Philippines is if you attend a wake, you don't want to take out any food from that. As a living person, I mean. So the dead person gets a baon. The living person who leaves the wake should not take any food, because if they do, they'll actually invite the spirit of that person back to their house, like potentially to haunt you or to, meddle in your affairs or whatever. So that's a really important distinction if you're ever attending a wake. If you're dead, you can eat and you can take out as well baon. If you're living, don't take baon. So this one isn't so weird for me in that I think there's some other type of traditions like this around, certainly wanting to give people something to take away. I mean, where I'm from in Australia, minsan dun sa cemeterio, may mga beer dyan, right? Like people literally come and just like drop a 6-pack on the grave. And even the notion of putting flowers down is an idea of making an offering to somebody who's departed. So this one I think is just like a 3 or 4 on the weird superstition level, but I think it's a really fun one. And if you guys haven't already got a will or last testament, maybe you should write one and indicate what you are gonna have put in your casket when you pass away. So mga kabano, that was my top 5 Filipino food superstitions. Let me know what you thought below. Did I miss any that you guys do at home that you want to share? And of course, speaking of sharing, do share this video with all of our kababayans, whether here in the Philippines or sa buong mundo. It's really great having you guys watching the show. Remember, you can check out the Facebook page as well, like us there, join Team Kabano, our top fans of the show who I keep in touch with over at our Facebook page. You can find that group pretty easily and join up. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, let us know what you think. Let us know what other superstitions you'd like us to explore next time. And I'm Urbano, and I will see you all next time. Bye now.